What's going on, people? So, these right here, this has been a long time coming, right? Because I've been following these things for a while, right? So, last year, I was coming back from Comic-Con, New York, San Diego Comic-Con, right? So, it was July. And that's when, like, the first sale went on, right? And they went fast. You would think it was, like, one of those fancy new Jordan shoes that everybody's always getting all hyped up about. Because they just sold out immediately. And I was like, okay, well, that's weird. Maybe it was just a glitch. And then I waited and like they just never came back in stock for like months. And then in January of this year, like obviously this year, they came back and I was having to be like in the right place at the right time. I was just like checking every day basically, like refreshing the page to see if they were back or not. And they were. So I bought a pair like immediately. And I was like, okay, fantastic. And then it took me 6 months to get around to actually like opening these to talk about doing all the review stuff. I did do an unboxing over on the Instagram at some point, but I never actually wore them. So not until today, which is crazy because I wanted these things for so long. But also, past that though, you may have seen a little short clip or whatever where I was kind of rambling on about these and stuff, about some personal feelings about how Asics sent these out and whatnot. Just know that I wasn't thrilled with it then. Still doesn't sit well with me now. Either way, I think I've said everything I need to say as far as backstories and such and where I got these and all that crap that people sometimes care to hear. So we're just going to get on into this. It's not a whole lot to see and talk about, as you can kind of gather here. So it might be quick, it might not. But either way, this right here is the Asics Actibreeze 3D in black. How plain and simple, right? Either way, let's go ahead and talk about some details and such, right? Down there, across the bottom, what you're looking at is basically everything you saw on the upper, but flat because it's the bottom, right? And obviously this is a whole 3D printed shoe. That's kind of what this whole thing is alluding to and whatnot. It's even written in the side of the box here, like on the inside of the box there somewhere. But there's that anyways. Moving on. Catching this thing from the side, right? You can kind of see some more of that style that they have going on from the midsole, if you want to call it that, right? It looks a lot like you would see on like an Adidas 4D type of shoe. So, because you know, those are also 3D printed. So there's that for you, right? And now getting you some other pictures in here so you can kind of see basically the same thing from like a slightly different look or whatever. Yeah, it's not a look that's going to be for everybody, right? Because it is kind of odd, but at the same time, I think it's kind of cool. So there is that piece of it. It's kind of just one of those things where it's like, what do you think? Do you want to spend your money on these or not? I'll give you some more things to think about before you make that decision, though. Again, I don't try to sway your opinion. I don't care which way you go. I'm just hoping that you make an informed decision whichever way you choose to lean. Either way. So all that stuff out of the way and whatnot. There's not really a whole lot to talk about with these, so I'm just going to kind of breeze through some things here. One thing, like I was saying, since it is 3D printed, you know, you will see a lot of light shining through here. So it's also going to give you like some extra breathability and all that good stuff, which is very cool. But one of the things that I noticed, and this could just be a me problem, because like my left heel is not quite okay after an incident some years back or whatever. And so one of the things I noticed was like when walking around in these, I don't know if it was just that it's just me and like how that partially affects how I step sometimes. But this one, the right one, felt like it was a little more plush in the back here. So like it, with each step, it felt like you were falling deeper into it, right, than it did on this one. So again, it could be me, but there's also the possibility that it's the shoes themselves, because each one is printed individually, obviously. So there's a possibility that one could come out slightly differently than the other. You know, it's just one of those things to think about. So I put that out there. So if anybody is experiencing that, let me know. Or if you don't experience that, let me know. So either way, let me know. Then again, I don't think these things were made in mass numbers, so I expect to hear from nobody. Either way, so real quick, some details in here. Like on the side, you do have the Asics logo thing going on there. You probably noticed that from before. Otherwise, you do have a little bit of you have like the labeling on the inside here for the sizing and all that good stuff, and like the style code. So there's that piece of it. Speaking of, because I didn't really pause earlier in the beginning, I'm gonna bring this out again now before I switch over to the personal thoughts and such, because I don't have anything else to really say about this. On the sizing piece, like you may have seen that in the very beginning, they do have a size chart on the actual label on the outside of the box, kind of like how Prestos have that label, right? So you got to look at that thing and do whatever makes sense to you. But I'll come back to that in a little bit. I just needed to get that picture out there again. Normally I don't repeat pictures in the video because I found that tacky, right? But it needs to happen once in a while. Either way, so this here, let's go ahead. I'll hit you with some personal thoughts and then we'll do the sizing. Personally, right, like these things, looking at them up close, like they look pretty cool. I'll still give them that, right? I'll get into it in a minute, but like the way they feel, I'm not sure if it was worth the wait, honestly. But it is what it is. Sometimes things are good, sometimes things are bad, sometimes things are just somewhere in the middle and you're like, maybe I could have just done without it. But I would like to see these in another color. They do have a blue color. It's just that the blue color went even faster than the black color, so it's probably not going to happen, but I am going to somewhat try to keep my eye out, or maybe they'll just do a remodeling. But all in all, like, I do like what they're doing here because it's different. It's just kind of a cool thing, you know. I sit here and I look at these and stuff. I'm like, yeah, these could be a pretty cool little conversation starter if I was to wear them outside anywhere. But I don't wear my slides outdoors, and I also don't always want conversation, so it's just something that crossed my mind though. But you know, it's something to talk about because it's all 3D printed and that's kind of cool. But just again, taking these for what they are, I did need a pair of Asics slides because I often wear these Asics workout shirts and then I don't have any shoes to wear when I'm indoors. So it's kind of a problem that has now been resolved. So yay for that. But I just feel like it could have been resolved in a better way, you know? But hey, whatever. As I'm recording this video right now, it is June 13th, right? So by the time this actually goes live, maybe I'll have worn these more I will have worn these more, and maybe I'll have like a different opinion. So this stuff that I'm saying holds true as of right now, and maybe it'll hold true later. We'll see. Sizing and whatnot, right? Let's do that. I bought these in kind of a true to size sort of fit, right? Because the thing is, I showed you like the label earlier, right? So I bought the large because large said 9, and I was like, okay, I guess so, sure, why not? And these, for one, the construction itself is big, right? These just look large. And even wearing it, it feels kind of large, right? Which is the thing I'm not super into because it just looks weird because I'm a smaller dude. But the thing is, my size is like at the bottom end of this chart, right? So these have to be big enough to fit up to, what is it, like 10 and a half or something? Yeah, 10 and a half. So it's kind of to be expected. So I'm wondering, like, would I have been better off with a medium? I mean, it's not like I have a lot of space, but there's enough that makes me question it. It's unfortunate that these aren't really widely available, you know? That's the one thing that sucks about certain things. So I say that to just say that if your size is in the middle of one of these charts, you're probably good. If it's at the bottom, you might be possibly disappointed. I'm not quite sure. I'm not going to commit to that right now, but there's a possibility. As far as wearing it though, like, they are nice. I mean, it's kind of like a bouncy sort of feel, kind of like a Nova Blast 3, right? I wore those this weekend. So, and it's bouncy enough that I'm kind of not into it. It's not bad. It's just like, sometimes I just want a more stable ride, you know? That's why personally I like the Adelaide 22s and like the Air Max 90 slides, you know? Those are my favorites. But these aren't bad, you know? I'm just saying, like, it's going to be a bouncy feel, at least up front. So if that's not what you want, you know, you may want to look somewhere else. But it could die down over time, so hopefully that's what happens, because right now I'm just not so on board with it. And overall, though, I do still think that they're worth trying, but if you're looking for like a straight up pair of like best slides to just get and just go with, easily Adidas Adelaide slides, because they come in a million colors and they're always on some crazy discount. So that's like my number one recommendation to your average person. But these are worth checking out if you happen to be in a position to check them out. What position that would be, I don't know. I guess the past when they made them. But there's that for you. Past that, I don't really have much else to say about these because, I mean, it's a pair of slides. You know, I feel like I've covered it all. Just needed to ramble on, like, you know, through the whole thing to get my little 2 minutes or whatever. But that's it. Also, one more thing. Yeah, there is something because I had these on the floor. I completely forgot. If this like build is looking familiar, yeah, it's basically this, but like holy, you know, not like Jesus holy, but I mean, well, I don't know, maybe Jesus would have worn something like this, but you know, holy like got the holes in it, you know, like that, like a sponge or something. But either way, so these are basically the same thing. Like all around, which is kind of weird, you know? But it is what it is. You don't always need to go making up new ideas when somebody else has already made a winning idea, I guess. Just steal it, right? Cheat to win. That's what Eddie Guerrero would do. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. I have one more video to do. That one will be short because there's no sizing in it. It's for my dad, you know. Later, people.